So we're continuing down this 2-track. This is one I know for a long time. There was quite a few squatters in here over the years. There's actually a squatter in here for about a year, and I don't think the Forest Service is able to remove them because they got the squatter laws in Oregon. If you're camping out here, you got 14 days to leave, but if you're a squatter, you could kind of stay for a long time. There's 23 trailers out here, all throughout the forest around Klamath Falls. I know the Forest Service up in Bend's got a really good agreement with a volunteer group, and they've removed at least 200 RVs and hundreds of cars from the forest. They're part of a group. There's a channel I'll have to put down in the comments if Casey gives me permission to do so, but he's a really good guy. He volunteers with them and uses heavy wreckers, and down here in Klamath Falls we don't have a very good volunteer program. I mean, at least I don't think so, because I've been out here since 2017, and I haven't met another volunteer. We never had like a volunteer lunch, or hey, let's all of us volunteers get together for the end of the year and discuss our progress. And I think that's part of the problem. I'm not going to let my dogs out here because this is where this guy was living in a trailer, and he had a meth lab going on, and he had needles and crack pipes, and I got threatened by him a couple times, and because I was picking up trash out here. But this is one of the sites here. This is your national forest around Klamath Falls. It's in other places too, but I think they just have more volunteers. I tried to remove some trailers. I went into the office, the Forest Service office, and tried to pass on a message. I had a truck at one time, and I was going to try to move some trailers, and the lady at the desk said that they were pretty busy at the time, and I never did get a call back or anything, so I kind of missed that opportunity. They're busy. Just the awning from this guy's trailer. But yeah, there's needles out here, drugs are all over the place. This guy lived here for a year, and nobody was allowed to remove them, at least from what I understand. So in Oregon, all drugs are legal. They first legalized pot, and they brought the cartel in, and they legalized all drugs. Here in Klamath County, we've had marijuana grows that are 160 tons plus, illegal marijuana grows in potato sheds, on federal land, private land. They still steal millions and millions of gallons of water when they have these grows. And there's no laws to really enforce any of this. And there's only one ranger for 400 square miles. And again, I apologize to the Forest Service. I'm not digging on you. You guys are busy. I worked for the BLM. I retired out of the Bureau of Land Management. I graded all these Forest Service roads several times. And that's another issue. The Forest Service bought $6 million worth of equipment right when I left the Bureau of Land Management. And right after that, the Forest Service decided to get rid of the road crew. And if you had a good road crew, you could clean a lot of this up, because we used to do a lot of environmental projects with the Forest Service. Tons and tons of environmental projects. And that's all gone now. The Forest Service gave up on a road crew, which is probably the most important part of the Forest Service when you look at it, because a lot of the people that work on the road crew, they're the ones who run the dozer to fight the fires, pick up this trash, and that kind of all went away. And this will probably be the last video. I did another video, and I think I upset somebody over at the Forest Service, and they did get back to me right away that day when I sent an email. And I didn't mean to say that they're not responsive all the time, but there's a lot of times you go a whole year without really hearing anything from them. And you just got to not be jaded when you're a volunteer for the Forest Service. Fill out your paperwork. I know I did it 3 times. And just go out your bag and pick up trash. I mean, I don't think I hauled probably not even enough to really make a dent in it. I estimate I probably hauled about 25 tons of trash out of the forest. And right now all I have is my Jeep. And in a Jeep you can only haul, like a couple 100 pounds at a time. But that's part of what giving back. When you're retired, you're supposed to find something else to give back. And that was kind of my thing. And my two sidekicks, my dogs like it. And this 2-track will have snow on it here pretty soon. I think this 2-track, I don't want to make a lot of four-wheelers upset, but they should probably block this off with boulders. Clean it up, block this 2-track off with boulders, unless there's a 4-wheel drive group that's going to volunteer to take it over. Because look at this, we got somebody that, well, I'll just drop my roofing off here at the National Forest. Not a big deal. It's really sad. It's great to be inclusive. It's great to be diverse. But when you allow inclusive and diversity take over a forest, it's bad, because some of these people are not protecting the resource. The people who are out here squatting, using drugs, growing marijuana, meth labs. I found a few meth labs out here. I just cleaned up the basic trash, but can't clean up all of it. And it's not safe in the National Forest in Oregon. I don't think it's really safe a lot of places in Oregon anymore. We just got back from the coast, and first thing you see when you come back to Klamath Falls is a drug deal, but the police department can't do anything about it because drugs are legal here in Oregon. And that's one of the reasons we're moving to Wyoming, is it's just not safe for me and my dogs getting up there in age to go out here in the forest. It's like somebody was through here with their motorcycles over the weekend. So it's sad. I think a lot of the forest, at least the Forest Service lands I see in Oregon, are lost. The ones up near Bend, that volunteer group, they're just awesome. You can watch YouTube videos on them, and they'll have like 40 crack trailers piled up and a bunch of cars piled up and trash, roll-offs. And I tried to get that going down here, and I don't think we have the population, and Klamath Falls is kind of a depressed area, and there is a lot of cartels out here in Klamath County, so it's really hard to get people to want to volunteer, especially the older people that do have the time to volunteer. They're kind of worried about their safety. And I'm not totally doom and gloom on Oregon. I mean, I think currently in its state, the forests are going to be lost to the wrong element. And I think the only solution to that is possibly to get a diverse group of people from all across the country to get involved, or somehow the leadership in Oregon needs to change their direction, because currently the leadership in Oregon, with their policies, was squatting. And good example, somebody squatted on one of the streets near my house for 2 years, and the house never paid rent, destroyed it, had drug parties. And it's kind of like that with the same thing with the National Forest. You can come out here, bring your camper, squat as long as you want. It's hard for the rangers to move you. At least in here in Klamath County, I've seen that it's almost impossible to move anybody off the federal land. And it's our land. We all pay taxes. We all should be able to enjoy it. We all should feel safe. There's a couple instances in 2021 where I was out here picking up trash, and yeah, some of the squatters threaten you. They're like, this is our land, and you know it's National Forest. And And then you got to watch where you let your dogs out because there's needles and cracked pipes. And that poor lady that was overlanding out here, and those two guys tried to abduct her and shot at her car. Um, yeah, especially if you're a lady out here in Oregon by yourself, I would definitely be armed. Or I wouldn't overland out here. I would probably pick a regular campsite. But then again, we had problems with campsites where squatters move into approved Forest Service or BLM campsite, and they threaten people with guns or threaten to shoot them over just little things that set them off. So that's kind of where Oregon is right now. Again, I want to apologize to the Forest Service. I'm not trying to ding on anybody. Whatever's going on here in Oregon's not working, and it's not anyone's fault. It's natural resources leadership needs to go a different direction. The other leadership in Oregon needs to go a different direction if they want to save the forest. No one's going to want to come to a forest where you feel unsafe and there's trash everywhere. Sorry, that's Harley in the back. Harley's breathing kind of heavy, gets excited. He's out here in the forest and sees all the squirrels and that's Massey. Here's some more trash. I mean, I could do videos all day long. There's 4 more trailers really close by here that are been abandoned. People just dump their trash out here in the national forest. It's cool. It's not in their yard. And this was Forest Service Road 3637 on the top, and the number on the bottom is 012. I think it's Forest Service 3637, but I don't think it's an action. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be an active Forest Service road or not. I know the Forest Service is kind of restricting access to a lot of these roads, and I could see why they would, because, well, people are trashing them. And these water bars that we're driving over, they're put in to reduce erosion. This area probably gets 16 inches of rain a year, but when it does happen, it's all at once, and that slows down the erosion. So like this road I'm on here, you have to have a high clearance vehicle. Yeah, and about 12 years ago, maybe it's about 15 years ago, just an example, one of the BLM members found a dead cartel member on one of the BLM pieces of property. So just be safe when you're out here. Let someone know where you're going. And if you do get a cell signal, if you're somewhere where your cell phone does work, check in every once in a while with the person that you're, so they get a general idea or GPS coordinates where you're at in case search and rescue has to come for you. And again, have a device that you can work no matter what off a satellite signal so somebody can find you. And I hope that once I get to Wyoming, I can volunteer at the BLM. They have issues out there too. They had a grader recently near, kind of near where we want to move to, that all the windows were shot out. Somebody came up and shot all the windows out of a $200,000 grader. when I worked for the Bureau of Land Management, we had a grader that was actually stolen by one of the pot growers, and he used it for a whole week until we got back out there. We couldn't find it, and ripped the mirrors off of it and pretty much destroyed it. And when it went to trial, the only thing that gentleman had to pay, I say gentleman loosely, was $750 fine. So he caused probably $20,000 worth of damage to the grader, not including the fuel. And a local court here only gave him a $750 fine for stealing a Bureau of Land Management piece of equipment. So the laws are not in the favor of the law-abiding citizens right now. Sorry I'm so opinionated. I just care about the resource. I mean, there'll probably be a few people that yell at me and about people squatting and no other place to go and all this, but I mean, respect the resource. I first started volunteering in the forest in 1986 when I lived in New Mexico as a young boy, and we had 1 million acres of BLM behind our house, and I'd go out and pick up trash, and it was a lot of oil field and gas fields in our area, and you know, a lot of those guys driving out there and gals, they would throw their cans out, and I'd pick them up or try to do the best I could, and I'd drag my little bag of trash home every day, and I'm hoping we can instill our youth on this. And no, I'm not to bore you to death here. We're almost at one of the trailers that's out here. And I hope this video reaches the right people, people that are willing to take over this mission. I know the people in Bend, I contacted them, and they're not, they said they don't do any work down here. They can't get any volunteers down here. But hopefully somebody can come out here and pick up where I left off and do a better job than I did. I kind of used the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service example. Man, when we had volunteers, we went out of our way from. We had volunteers down in Texas on the refuge, and we'd get them a truck that they could haul all the debris off in, and if they wanted to go out and do bird surveys, they were allowed to do bird surveys. They were there for all the events. We had barbecues for them. It was just a really different experience. I know it takes a lot out of a manager's life to deal with volunteers, but like my refuge manager or assistant refuge manager in Texas once said, he said, I may lose 2 or 3 hours a week working with the volunteers, but he says those 2 or 3 hours that I lose on my normal activities, he says they may do 80 or 200 hours worth of work that week between all the volunteers we had. And he says that's like a force multiplier. You just help them out, give them the tools they need, give them a good map, tell them what their mission is for the day, and turn them loose, and you'll be amazed at what volunteers could do. I just got to mention Deb Lyon. He is a volunteer at the refuge down in Texas, and that man did more for that refuge than any full-time paid U.S. Fish and Wildlife employee. He didn't have to deal with the paperwork or anything like that. He just went out and did the job. All right, Harley's breathing heavy again. I got to let the guys out and the gals, but there's some more hypodermic needles where we're going, so I got to get past that area where this trailer is. Yeah, and I probably I estimated one time between this Jeep, my last Jeep, and my FJ, I probably spent close to $5,000 in fuel over this time coming out here. And I think it was the cheapest therapy I've ever had, though. Not only are you hiking out here, you're picking up trash, making the resource better for other people. There's a couple trails going off to my left that are unauthorized that people are making with their side-by-sides. I hope my dog Massey don't throw up in the back. She gets sick. Bouncing around like this. The vehicle I'm using for this is a Jeep Rubicon diesel with the 3.0 diesel, so that's why the engine's a little loud. Starting to see the meth trailer up here. Gonna be right around the bend, and there's 23 of these meth trailers in the forest in this area. There's one up by 4 Mile Reservoir. There's one over by geez, I can't even think, Mount McLaughlin. There's a trailer that's been there I think since 2021. This one's been here a really long time. A couple of them people have been moving back into, I don't hate I use this term, but maybe it's offensive to somebody, but I call them tweakers. People on meth that live out in the forest. And I'll go ahead and film this here real quick, and this will be the end of our video once we look at this trailer. I'm gonna keep these dogs in here. I got a lot of the needles picked up from here one time. Yeah, wasn't very pleasant, let's put it that way. So this is a typical meth trailer in the forest around Klamath Falls. I was going to try to pull it out before, but I was unable to reach the right people at the right time.